I'm proud to be an American. It's a phrase used by many across the country, but not so much from millennials these days, at least according to some. We voice opposition to issues in ways that some say question our patriotism. And why are more millennials starting to identify as spiritual but not religious? We've got you covered. This is what I wish you knew about the red, white, and free. Hello, I'm Waynika Walls, and welcome to I Wish You Knew. The First Amendment gives us the right to lawfully and peacefully protest. But when we do, we get called names like ungrateful and unpatriotic. Like Colin Kaepernick of the San Francisco 49ers. Kaepernick came under fire for kneeling during the national anthem in protest of police brutality. Does speaking out on social issues make you less patriotic? Here to tell you what they wish you knew are
Torin Cooper.
Yasmin Arrington.
Hey, I'm Zeppelin Tillman.
So, are you all proud to be an American, especially right now?
Listen, I'm proud to live in America, but me and America, we on bad terms right now. I'm so disappointed in the country as a whole. I'm proud to live here, and to work here and stuff like that, but I'm not proud of who we are or who the nation is as a whole.
But why do you feel like you're not proud right now? Is it based solely off of the outcome of the election, or?
Not only that, it's just when you consider things like mass incarceration and systematic racism in the education system and poverty and stuff like that. How can you be proud of a nation that can do something but doesn't? And it's not even just the election either. So.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I definitely want more because I know that we can do more.
But what's more? What more can we do?
I think that we can help enable. What's the word I'm looking for? We can enable more organizations, more people, more individuals who have been historically disenfranchised. We can give them more opportunities as a nation because we have the resources to do that. Just because the country operated a certain way in the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s doesn't mean in the 2000s moving forward we have to still continue in that same mode of operandus. So that's what I mean when I kind of say we can do more.
I know
be
for
more
me,
progressive.
I do agree with that, and I know for me, I'm proud to be an American. I just feel like it always sucks when you're on the opposite side of the totem pole. When you're not on the side that benefits from the things that are going on. So I think what a lot of people feel about millennials is that when we don't get our way, we kind of pout. But the difference with situations like this is that I feel like certain things sway certain ways always. So for instance, the Electoral College and things like that, they always sway a specific way. Right. And at some point, we are very inquisitive. We look at things, we research, and we read, and we see, and we're just like, this seems broken. So then we do get frustrated. So I think for me, I'm proud to be an American, but I don't know that I feel like a lot of different countries and people are laughing at us right now.
I was getting ready to say that too. I think if you live in a different country and you can turn on the news and see that the country just put in power somebody who has no political experience at all. And you can tweet whatever you want, say whatever you want. And if I'm living in another country, I'm like, wow, America, they're a joke. I can do whatever I want if I go there. And I can see it as a place where you can come and have the land of the free and be, so liberated and stuff like that. But when you have a government that does stuff like that, I know other countries are laughing at us right now, making memes out of us and stuff. I'm pretty sure people are how can you be proud to be American?
Go ahead.
I'm proud to be an American. We live in the most powerful country in the entire world. And even though I feel like as an African American woman, as a woman of color, I am often overlooked and not treated well. I'm not wanted. I'm not wanted by my own men. But being here in this country, I can come up, right? The bootstraps theory. I can pull myself up by the bootstraps, and I can own companies. I can become a candidate to run for president of the United States. I could do whatever it is.
But you see what the country just did to Hillary Clinton. The country had someone who was more than qualified to run this position, but the Electoral College or whoever in power chose someone else, a male. And now you're saying you're proud to be an American to live in a society where they clearly overlook the woman, and we have a women's march, and women still make less money than men. Women still get looked over for jobs and for stuff like that, and you still saying you're proud to be American for that?
Yeah, because we can change it. There are lots of culture. We
just had
are
another woman.
changing it.
We just had another.
Change is slow, Torin. Like it doesn't happen.
How slow? How old is America?
It doesn't happen overnight. Like change has always historically been slow.
But
and we've only not been slaves for what? 400 years?
Well, essentially, we're going back by,
but like that's what I'm saying. Like, do you feel like the actions of certain people and certain things that are going on right now, if I feel like it's a pattern that repeats itself, it gets kind of good, and it's like, okay, cool, yes, and then we get kicked all the way back.
I do think that like we've been progressive though. Like even though it has been slow, I think we've been progressive. I think that we've seen more economic opportunity, especially amongst African Americans, than like we ever have before.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Well, for some. If you have a decent education and you've grown up in an environment that cultivates, elitism, then you can rise up.
Okay.
But for some brothers and some sisters, like they are poor their whole lives, and there's opportunities and there is personal accountability that comes with it. But it shouldn't be so hard to come up.
And
like it should be fair for everybody.
I do agree, and I feel like we could talk about this forever, but we have to take a quick little pause for a break. But first, it's trivia time. Who wrote the lyrics to the Star Spangled Banner? Tune in for the answer. Welcome back. And before we left, we were getting deeper into patriotism and just how there are very huge gaps in building wealth and how that happens. But like, in my opinion, like, I don't think that being patriotic or feeling a certain way about a country is going to stop us from doing that. But like, sometimes I feel like when we are more patriotic, or if you say that you love America and you do things a certain way, people are more apt to be a part of it. For instance, there's people who are moguls who don't speak about certain things because they know that it will affect their machine. So they don't talk about it because they don't want to stop their cash flow. So I think that it's so many things that go into that bucket of like being patriotic and how it can affect people.
Well, let's go back to when we talked about Colin Kaepernick protests police brutality by kneeling during the national anthem. Do you guys think that is like showing like not being patriotic or something like that?
Quite honestly, I think it's the opposite. I think it is him showing patriotism. He's being patriotic for what he believes in.
But this is a national anthem, like the national anthem, like everybody wave it, put their right hand up, do whatever they need to do. Like,
I mean, I can see how it would come off as unpatriotic, right? Like, I think it depends on which side of the fence that you're standing on. Is the your vantage point of how you view it. If you are the disenfranchised or the oppressed, you're going to be like, no, he's not being unpatriotic. Right. He's speaking up for us. Right. However, if you don't have that reality and you never had that reality, you're like, what is he complaining about? Like he's making millions of dollars, so I think it just depends on what side of the fence that you kind of look at it as.
Well, let me ask you, Yasmin. So we talked about like the kneeling thing. So what about burning flags? Like I've seen like some college students like burning flags. Do you think that's unpatriotic? Like how you feel about that?
I mean, I'll say from the perspective of being born in America, being an American, that if you're burning an American flag, I would be on the side that that's unpatriotic. That's disrespectful.
And that goes into, to me, I think it goes into like being traditional and what has happened over the past. Because for some people, for instance, Christians, they were burning crosses on their fronts. So it's an item. I do get it. It's like something that represents a big body of people, but I feel like people do it because they want to show their ideal or their like way of showing patriotism. So I don't think it's unpatriotic. I just think it's a different way of expressing how patriotic you are.
Right, and as millennials, us being so passionate and so like creative, we find new ways to do old things. I'm sure people burn flags in like the 60s.
Y'all been making it sound cool,
bro.
No,
It's not
like lighting flags on fire. Like, that's not
Never.
But listen, somebody gave me a flag like when I was like in like elementary school, something like that, and it was like. And I was in JROTC, and we had to like float the flag and like don't let the flag touch the ground and stuff like that. I feel like America has let me touch the ground so many times. Just being a black male, like America has let me down. If I want to burn a flag, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna burn it, but I'm saying I'm not gonna say not to because essentially it's just material. You're just saying this is what I feel about America.
But I think it is symbolism, and because we're kind of touching on like religion and how things have happened over the past. Recent stats show that millennials are less religious than other generations, but just as spiritual.
Well, here we go.
What might be contributing to that like factor, and like how do we feel? Like do we believe that? Do we think that we're not religious and we're just spiritual, or is it a reason for it?
I think there is a reason. I think because millennials are starting to speak out about things that religious leaders sometimes don't speak about. And we're saying, well, hey, we're this group, we believe this, like, why aren't you saying anything about it? And it's kind of like,
I think honestly,
I'm not trying to be so traditional, I'm trying to be more me.
Yeah, like, there's a part of it that's about being traditional, but our generation, we don't like authority. We don't really, we rebel against that.
True.
So I think if it's something, for instance, being a Christian, it's like if you preach about something that I don't like or something that I'm doing right now in my life, being religious is ill. Like I don't want to do it anymore because y'all are preaching against something that I enjoy doing. So I just think that comes with being a millennial because that's just how we view things. If we don't like it, we're done with it.
I think the other reality too is that like we started to kind of see the hypocrisy that like religion, you know what I'm saying, that it had. And
but
be
clear, hypocrisy that the people who practice the religion do.
Well, I mean, exactly.
It's not the religion, it's the people.
But that was the front that that was like the platform that they kind of used. And so if it was like, okay, Christians, we don't like homosexuality, therefore we're going to speak out against it or degrade it. We're not going to like allow you all to get married in our church. For somebody who, is a spiritual person and has a relationship with God, you're going to be like, yo, that's not right. Like he wouldn't stand for that. So like you see those sorts of things.
I get what you're saying. But I think people always forget at the end of the day, there's something that they are referencing. Like I always say, for a Christian, it's life or death. I'm referencing the word of what I believe is the word of God. But now, so they're not like, it's not them saying, oh, it's this. It's just what they're reading and they're practicing something. So because they do that, there's an opposing side to it. So,
so when we talk about the word, all right, now, millennials are the most educated generation. And there's a lot of, I wouldn't say millennial scholars, but people now can read for themselves. Right. So essentially when you grow up in church, it's just like, this is what the Bible says, this is what we do, God said it, that settles it. But now you have people who are going and studying the word for themselves and getting a different understanding and consulting other people and getting like a different view on the Bible. So now they're saying, this isn't what the Bible says. You tricked me. You fooled me. But now, like millennials saying, like, this isn't what it says.
So that's how y'all think we got to a place of being just like spiritual and not so much religious.
We don't have to have it pounded in our head anymore. Like I think we actually have the liberty to go out and kind of like understand what it means for ourselves. I think like
and
that's
it's not always come to church with with a skirt all the way down to here. Yeah. You always got to wear a shirt and tie. And some churches will look down on you if you're a millennial and come in with ripped jeans. Like, I'm not going to come to your church if you tell me I got to look a certain way, do a certain thing this way.
I agree.
But
is religion supposed to do that?
But that's what people...
I just say come as you are, just don't stay as you've been. And that's in anything. And like, you shouldn't come in and walk out the same way. That's just facts. But hold that thought really quickly. There'll be more on this topic when we return. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. Before the break, we were kind of talking about how millennials and religion versus spirituality all like comes together, and how we think that people are kind of leaning more towards spirituality and for those reasons. But do you think that because of things being more spiritual, that being inclusive and more tolerant of other religions is more acceptable now? And is being more spiritual helping that movement, like not being so judgy and being accepting and tolerant of other, religions, creeds, and things that people believe?
I think so. I think as millennials being the most diverse generation, we have to, because we work, we live, we go to school with people of different races and religions and stuff like that. So we have to be more open to who they are and what they believe and stuff like that,
Yeah.
But I think more people are switching to be spiritual because because we're so diverse. We don't want to fit into one specific kind of mode. And then when we're more spiritual, we can follow the path within us and what draws us to the divine, and not so much of being indoctrinated, by religion. So we want to be free. We want to be free spirits. So.
Yes. I noticed that we've been talking about this the whole time, but to you guys, what does spirituality mean to you, and how is that different from practicing, let's say, religion?
I think that, I've had a lot of these talks, especially in college, and even now with millennials and our peers, and religion is sort of, for a lot of us, has a negative connotation, and it's organized. And religion is, typically whatever traditions and sacraments and habits that you have for a specific, belief system. But spirituality, it appears as though people say, oh, well, I'm spiritual, but I'm not really religious. That could mean a few things, but one, they usually don't go to a church or a mosque or a synagogue.
Yeah.
But like you said, Torrin, the spirituality, looking from the inside out, and as opposed to allowing a belief system, a structured religion to define who I am and how I'm connected to, a higher being or the divine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, like you were saying, religion is what you do and why, and spirituality is how you live out what you profess to believe and do.
Right.
So.
I know for me, spirituality is exactly that. It's just my spirit self. What am I in tune with? What speaks to me? What has kept me? What has pushed me? And I know religion, to me, religion is just the definition of. So it's the definition of what I truly believe. That's going to give you the book version of it. But spirituality is me exclaiming and being able to give you my testimony. That's who I am. That's what I know to be true. That's how it is for me.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting that, one of our more prominent gospel artists, Kirk Franklin, just came out with an album called Losing My Religion. So what does that mean for, this huge religious spiritual leader to kind of almost say that I'm moving towards that shift of kind of the way that we treat people is more important than, the actual structure, within itself, because that it's made, we were talking earlier, right? It's filled with people. The religion is essentially just kind of filled with people who fit that, but people are imperfect. Right. And so when you kind of throw everything back on the religion, then it can kind of it loses its weight or its definition versus how you individually treat your brother and sister.
So that, to me, I think as millennials, we're accepting when people believe in when we're familiar with what they believe in. So with the topic of atheism or agnostics, when you hear, I can't lie, when I hear that, I don't know, I just kind of walk on by with the peace sign, okay, let me go this way. Probably because of what I thought it was in the past. So how do y'all do y'all think that that's something you're open, if somebody comes at y'all today, are you still oh, okay, yeah?
In what way? Comes joining?
They're talking about it, or you, is this something that you've because I feel like we've all engaged in a conversation with somebody of many different, religious creeds or whatever. But when somebody who's atheist or Jewish or anything like that, when they begin to talk about things, do you feel that you're accepting, or you're just do you feel, is it a safe haven and you jump in, or are you you...
I think for me personally, I'm more open to hearing what you have to say, because I see you as a person and I respect you, who you are, what you believe, what you don't believe. And a lot of people have a story to tell about why they believe and what they don't believe. But the old Torin, old school Baptist Torin, when I grew up, I wouldn't want to hear what you had to say, because when I went to church, this is what we believe, this is what's right, everybody else is wrong. But now, as a millennial, and I'm more around people of, diverse people of different beliefs and stuff like that. Somebody who's agnostic or, atheist or Jain or something like that, I'm more open to hearing what you have to say, why you believe what you believe, and what can you give me that I can give you, and kind of like a sharing of experiences,
To me, being spiritual, though, it'll allow us to get back to, like, just loving each other, because spirits connect. That's what you see in people. That's what draws you to a person. So I think that it's very important for us to be spiritual, because we're led by that in our generation. Like, we're led by what makes my drum, like, go, what makes me want to beat on it, what makes me excited about that. And I think being not just tolerant, but being, just being able to listen to what people have to say. Like I always say, whatever you say, there's an opposing side to it. I know for me, that's how it is. I'm not going to judge anybody for whatever. You believe what you believe. I'm still going to believe what I do. But don't try to be mad at me because it goes against what you say or how you feel about it.
Yeah. No, that's real. I also think that, like, in all of these different religions, there usually is, like, a central person that, like, they focus on, or that they kind of look at as their model. And a lot of those times, that individual probably wouldn't, act like that. Like, Jesus talked to everybody, what I'm saying? Like, Muhammad talked to everybody, like Buddha, Siddhartha, like he was around everybody, and they were, like, peaceful, genuine human beings. So, like, for us to, like, be judgmental and then throw it back on the religion, like, that's almost like, it's super contradictory,
it's
right? To, like, what the actual model of how we're supposed to act within that religion is. So.
People get caught up in power in religion, and
this conversation, I feel like it's so meaty, it's so heavy. But unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for this edition of I Wish You Knew. Thanks for watching. But before we go, panel, did you get the answer to our little question, our trivia question?
Yes.
The writer of the Star Spangled Banner is
Francis Scott Key.
Come on, my scholars. Yes.
Francis
Scott Key. Should we sing it?
Sure, go ahead. I don't think that's it. Oh, okay.